The American Italian Cultural Center and Museum on South Peters in New Orleans offers event venue space, Italian language classes, dual citizenship and translation services, seminars, genealogy, and trips to Italy. Ciao, AmericanItalianCulturalCenter.com. This program is brought to you in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support education, the arts, and culture in the greater New Orleans area.
Peggy Laborde, and welcome to Steppin Out, with updates from the local restaurant, arts, and entertainment scenes. Joining me, Poppy Tucker, host of Louisiana Eats on WWNO Radio. Hello, my dear.
Hello, Miss Peg.
Gwen Thompkins, host of the WWNO radio program Music Inside Out. So good to see you again. Hello, hello. Alan Smason, editor of the Crescent City Jewish News and theatercriticism.com. Hello.
Hello.
And he's back, tenor Robert Wagner, who is also the director of the opera Festa Singers and the Viennese Opera Ensemble, with lots of things cooking. Good to see you. Hello, hello. Happy New Year, everybody. Jeez. Okay. But speaking of that, on the heels of Poppy, king cake time.
Well, you know, Peggy, it's such an early Mardi Gras. We only have theoretically 39 days of king cake eating. So we have to really be selective. And I'll tell you what, our friends from Brennan's have sent us something pretty surprising. Now, we have had their king cakes in past years. This is something they started doing during the pandemic. And their first king cake was the Pink Parade, of course, reflecting that beautiful building on Royal Street. And then, of course, last year, just the no-brainer, of course they had a Bananas Foster king cake. And the whole time, continuously, they have also had their We Three Kings, which is a traditional cinnamon cake. But are you ready, Peggy? Because no one in the media.
Okay, we got to get a shot of this.
Okay,
all right.
Are we ready?
Oh, yes, here we go.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay.
Why don't we tilt it? Yeah,
Luckily, I'm not like whipping the tablecloth.
Oh, here we go. Yay.
Okay,
that's a good
how
shot.
about that?
Okay.
This is the new Brennan's flavor for this year. It's almond.
Yes.
Oh, my very favorite. I can hardly wait to eat this cake. But Peggy, it's the 4th. Can we eat the king cake today?
Yes, because we're spreading the word about king
thank
cakes.
you.
So that's how we get the dispensation.
I'm so relieved to have the dispensation. Well, you know, the king cakes were made by and inspired by Patrick Brennan, Ralph's son. And he has started a new business of his own. Patrick acquired Congregation Coffee in Algiers. So now for the Brennan's King Cakes, pre-orders and nationwide shipping are available at kingcakesbybrennans.com, or you can pick up your cakes at King Cake Hub or at Congregation Coffee in Algiers. And they're open Thursday through Monday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. He's roasting coffee and everything over there. Then,
great.
Of course, it's time to talk about the King Cake Hub. Tomorrow night, things are getting started with the Monarch Pageant at Zoni Mash's Tap Room. It's going to go from 9 p.m. until midnight, and they'll be cutting the cakes and eating king cake at midnight every day through Lundi Gras, right there on South Broad Street, 8:30 in the morning until 6 o'clock at night, or until the king cakes run out. And there's over 70 different king cakes to choose from there this year. It's too many cakes, too little time. Now, over at SoFab, so once you get things rolling at the King Cake Hub, head over to SoFab, because they're going to be doing a unveiling of their culinary sign, their brand new Mackenzie's beautiful neon sign, Saturday from 2 until 4. They'll be cutting up king cakes. They'll be serving cocktails. That's going to be great fun. And then just get ready for this unbelievable onslaught of king cake events. Jillian Duran, one of my favorite people, the ice cream lady behind Rom House, she had become the pastry chef at Garrison's Kitchen on Metairie Road. Well, she left her pastry chef job to rebirth Rom House, and they're going to start off, they're kicking off their King Cake feasts that are going to happen starting next Thursday, every Thursday. Next Thursday is going to be at Courtyard Brewery on Camp Street. The King Cake Feast, the concept is over 30 different vendors, but it's all king cake slices. It's hard to eat 70 different king cakes, so they're going to be selling slices and cakes. She's doing this in conjunction with Sticky Fingers Dough Company. And so then January 18th and February 1st, they'll be at Bayou Wine and Beer Garden. January 25th, they'll be at the Rabbit's Hole, and you can catch up with them anytime at King Cake Feast on Instagram.
And the Rabbit's Hole, that's something else that people are becoming more familiar with, too.
Yeah. So it's good. She's just being very diverse with her selections, and I can't wait to see where she lands permanently after Mardi Gras.
All right, me too. Well, Gwen, we had so much fun a few weeks ago, like, where you going this weekend? So Gwen's music notes.
Yes.
What's going on this weekend?
There's plenty that's going on, actually, in the next few days. And what's amazing about this time, actually, that we're living in is that we're beginning to see a lot of the efforts of people during the COVID shutdown sort of come to bloom. A lot of musicians spent those many months creating new work and doing really interesting music, and now we're seeing them touring now nationwide, and we're also seeing some new albums come out. So I'm looking forward to, on Friday, January 5th, Joy Clark is going to be performing at DBA. This is a young singer-songwriter. She's terrific. She's been on Music Inside Out before. She writes her own material. She's an electric and acoustic guitar player, and her repertoire has been building. It's mostly roots music, Americana, soulful pop, a bit folky. Early on, her influences, one of her main influences was Tracy Chapman, actually. And but since then, she's really come into her own style, which she calls very loving and sweet. But she has been playing with Cyril Neville, and she's also been touring with this Grammy-nominated Americana artist named Allison Russell. In fact, she performed at the last Grammy Awards with Allison Russell, and they were magnificent. You can go on YouTube and see them perform, actually. They also did a Tiny Desk concert with NPR, so if you want to see Joy Clark now, you can do so on YouTube. But this year, she's coming out with her new debut album. It's going to be on Ani DeFranco's Righteous Babe Records, and this is a good time to sort of go and see her work out her material, actually, before hitting the road on a national tour. So that's going to be on Friday at DBA at 10 p.m. On Saturday, the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation, they have a concert series that's going, which is really interesting. They're focusing on up-and-coming artists who are, sort of on the not the bubble, but they're brimming with all sorts of new ideas. And one of them is a fellow by the name of Stephen Lands. He's a trumpet player. He's from Baton Rouge, actually, and his trumpet playing and composing actually floats over so many different kinds of genres. He, not long ago, did a whole evening at NOMA, at the Museum of Art, of material, of original material that was sparked by the Planets by Gustav Holst. And it was really interesting, sort of a very modern spoken word, jazz, improvisational, and classical, sort of impression, modern day impression of that music that was written at the beginning of the 19th century. of the 20th century. And also Lance has been touring with PJ Morton, performing with Maroon 5, and also playing locally in traditional jazz bands. So you can see what his range is. It's amazing. And so I'm very interested in seeing what he's got to say at the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, a performance space, the George and Joyce Ween performance space on Rampart Street. That's this coming Saturday at 8 o'clock. So Stephen Lands, don't forget that name. Also on Sunday, is going to be a very interesting performance at Snug Harbor. You may feel the same way, but I'm looking for harmony in life these days. It's very hard to find great harmony, and there is a group that's also on the rise nationally called Sage. It's spelled with an umlaut and a J, so it's not easy to pronounce off the cuff, but Sage is how it is pronounced, and they are going to be performing. It's in 4-part harmony. They're a jazz organization, a jazz group, and they also do Joni Mitchell classics as well, and other already existing material. But they are featuring Janae Kendrick, who should be interesting to New Orleanians because Janae Kendrick used to be a singer in the Ellis Marsalis quintet, and then also she sang with Nicholas Payton. But she lives in the Pacific Northwest now, as do many of these performers. 2 live in the Pacific Northwest, the other 2 live in California. They decided to come together during the COVID shutdown and start touring together as a supergroup, and I think they're going to give a pretty interesting performance too. 2 actually at Snug Harbor, one at 7:30 and one at 9:30. And some of the other artists will be Sarah Gazarek, Erin Bentledge, and Amanda Taylor. I think that all their first names put together spell Sage, you see. Okay. Now, this may be unfair to mention, and but life isn't fair. So I'm going to mention this, but it is sold out. But maybe you can get lucky, and that is that the Radiators are reuniting at Tipitina's at the end of the week. It's going to begin their performances. There will be 3 nights of performances that will begin on Thursday, January 11th at 10 p.m. And this is just one of the great opportunities to see a band that everybody loves and that has been such a staple of the New Orleans music scene for so many decades. And we're lucky enough to have them all still with us, and so they're able to come back for this party. And you just can't be gloomy at a Radiator show.
So just go to the website and see if there's
go
any
and beg.
chance.
Go do whatever you can. Don't have pride. This is not time for pride. But they're going to be at Tipitina's on Napoleon Avenue, and their shows begin at 10, beginning on Thursday, then Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Ooh, all right. Thank you very much. Well, Robert, it's great to have you back.
Thank you for having me.
And I know you do many things. You're a tenor. You, of course, a teacher, and you're from New Orleans, but you were gone for many years, and you lived in Austria.
Yeah,
okay.
Vienna.
Yeah, in Vienna. But you're now producing and organizing and teaching, and let's talk about that this weekend. Something a little different for you. Set it up because we do have a performance.
Yes, on Sunday, January 7th, Tango Feeling is what it's called, and it's going to be a live string tango event. So we'll have 2 professional dance pairs interpreting 4 of the dance numbers, but the rest is open dance floor. There'll be food, there'll be open bar, and this is at the New Marigny Theater.
Former Annunciation Church.
That's right.
It's a fairly new venue.
Absolutely right. And that doors open at 3 o'clock, and the strings start at 4. What else can I tell you? They'll have 2 dance pairs. Serkan Guerkan, who is a composer and violinist, just arrived from Vienna, off of the plane, and many of his compositions are going to be featured with the Electric Yacht Quartet. They're going to be the core of the ensemble. They're a very hot number right now. They're playing everywhere. And Ed Wise, who's the jazz bass teacher at Loyola, he's going to be with the ensemble. So there'll be 6 strings. It's a sextet of strings. And Dance Quarter is going to be represented with the professional dancers. And NOLA Tango, a community of Argentine tango performers. So,
well, before we go any further, let us show you, and you can hear an original composition by Mr. Guerkan, and also our performers, who are Katarina Boudreaux and Ector Guitierrez, accompanied by Mr. Serkan, and let's take a look. Robert, once again, Sunday afternoon.
Yes, Sunday afternoon at the New Marigny Theater. That's on the corner of Murray and Mandeville Streets. Doors open at 3. You can buy tickets at Eventbrite under Tango Feeling, which is the name of the event. That's actually a composition of Serkan's. It'll be on the program as well. Food
Or
and
at
drink.
the door, too, you said.
At the door. You can buy at the door as well.
All right,
Yeah.
good. Thank you so much.
Thank
okay,
you.
and we have more music a little bit later in our program, too, thanks to you. And Alan.
So, Peg, the last time that Megan Hilty came to New Orleans, she performed with Seth Rudetsky as part of the Mark Cortelli production. By the way, Mark is actually one of the major producers for the Days of Wine and Roses, starring Kelly O'Hara and Brian Darcy James. It's going to become previews are starting actually on Saturday night. So congratulations to him. But I'm pleased to talk about Megan Hilty. She is returning to the area this Saturday night for a performance in Luling at the La Fawn Performing Arts Center. Megan, you may remember, originated the role of Dora Lee in the musical 9 to 5. That was the piece that Dolly Parton played in 9 to 5, the film, of course. And she was also in Smash, the NBC series about a fictional staging of a Broadway musical bombshell based on the life of Marilyn Monroe. Here you can see her, Megan, with you-know-who. This was when she was at New Orleans at the Mark Cortelli production. She, of course, was the understudy to Kristen Chenoweth originally in Wicked, which was the reason I brought my copy of the Grimmery to be signed. So that's this Saturday night for Megan Hilty as Broadway comes to Luling. Now, the national tour of My Fair Lady, the Lincoln Center production, of course, that was originally scheduled to arrive here during the pandemic for that first year, was scrapped, and finally it arrives here this coming Tuesday night. Tickets are available at the Sanger box office. If you haven't gotten already your tickets, you want to avoid the fees at Ticketmaster, go to the box office. I'll have a review next week, hopefully on next Thursday's show. And again, you can check that out at the Sanger Theater. And of course, they have Les Miserables coming up later in the month, so we'll talk about that as we get closer to it. Now, Peggy, imagine this. 2 siblings growing up together and then literally taking root to each other, becoming trees. That's the premise of Intramural Theater's new work by Agnes Borinsky. It's titled The Trees, and the show is running at the CAC for an 11-day period, but there are no shows on Saturday night, January the 16th and the 17th as well. But Sunday matinees are at 2 o'clock. Intramural Theater doing some very interesting work, and this is the first time that I know of they're going to be at the CAC, so check that out as well. Kenner was the birthplace of Lloyd Price. And it's only proper that the Big Easy Boys and Big Easy Babes honor him with a show all about New Orleans music called Live on Lloyd Price Avenue. An earlier version of this ran back in September at the Jazz Marketplace, but it opens at Rivertown Theaters this coming Friday night, not tomorrow, but the next Friday night. And we want to make sure that you know that it starts January the 12th. It'll be, again, available. There are some seats that are left, but it is selling out fast. I recommend if you want to check this out. There's a lot of really interesting New Orleans music figures that are mentioned, and some, as I mentioned on a past show, even some minor figures like my mother who were mentioned in it. Also, Le Code Noir. We talked about the past year. I didn't get a chance to mention this because it was an outdoor event, and that shouldn't have caused me to fail mentioning how important this outdoor production was. It's the story that tells, New Orleans' history of slaves and free persons of color, and essentially it was presented on the Congo Square site. So it really was fraught with all kinds of beautiful historical perspectives for everybody to really get involved with. But the show, again, featured some really good acting, and it was, I hope, to become maybe one of these days a staple of the New Orleans tourism industry as a permanent show for the outdoors, like a lot of states have established. It's a historically accurate show written by Mark R. Sumner and, of course, Tommy Myrick.
Yeah, so we had her on the show.
Of course.
Okay,
and it was this attention to detail that really set this production apart. Well, Tommy is preparing to put another of her productions on the boards when she gets the first all-African-American cast not associated with a university, when Lance Nichols and his wife Zardis play George and Martha, the married couple in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. A married couple did play their roles last year in Australia, but this, as far as I know, is only the second time that a real-life married couple have done
They're
that.
with us next week. I'm so excited.
Okay, so there you go. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? The new dates. Unfortunately, Lance was ill in Fiji, and he was transported to New Zealand, and he was in hospital for a week. But I am happy to say he's back. he's ready to go, and they just had to take about a week's time to essentially give them some more time to do the show. But we'll start. The show date starts 19th of January and runs now through February.
Look forward to seeing him. Thank you so much. Time for picks. Poppy.
Okay, tomorrow, the 12th night kickoff brunch at the Commons Club at the Virgin. Bottomless mimosas, a DJ, and there's going to be all sorts of pop-ups from different carnival vendors so you can help get your costumes ready. And then head over to the Sazerac House on Saturday evening, 5 o'clock. Cheers to Carnival with an Ohan toast, walking cruise, Mardi Gras Indians, and all sorts of fun. And when the event is over, Joan of Arc will be passing outside.
All right, Gwen.
All right, I technically chose an event that's happening not this Saturday, but next Saturday. It's but it's the Louisiana Philharmonic Orchestra and the Marcus Roberts Trio performing Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue.
Oof.
It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be at the Orpheum Theater, Saturday, January 13th. This is just one of Gershwin's greatest achievements, and to hear it better than he ever heard it in his head, you know what I mean, with actual real jazz performers of the caliber of Marcus Roberts, and of course Jason Marsalis is in that trio as well. So it's going to be fantastic.
Absolutely.
Thomas Wilkins is going to conduct. They're going to also do some Duke Ellington, Harold Arlen, and Ira Berlin songs.
Wonderful. And before we go to Robert, though, we want to talk about actually the versatility of the different organizations and groups that you are involved in. Here is a music selection from another organization that he is in charge of, and it is the Viennese Opera Ensemble that he directs, the Festa opera singers. The song is "And the Heavens Are Hanging Full of Violins" by Leo Fall. Accompanist is Stephen Edwards, rather. Take a look. Someone wanted the Opera Festa singers to perform for them. Who are they going to call?
Call me, Robert Wagner, 504-650-2748.
Okay, thank you. They're wonderful. Alan.
Well, in theater, previously we've seen 2 national tours of The Color Purple and a prior production at Anthony Bean Community Theater. And last year, of course, we had the incredible run at Le Petit Theater. But Cutting Edge Theater is unveiling its version this weekend with a diverse cast. The show runs only on Friday and Saturday nights from now until the 27th of January. I'll see you at the theater.
Okay, thanks. And now my picks, lots of events going on Saturday night. The Funny 40 Fellows will gather at 6:30 p.m. and depart from the Willow Street Car Barn. The Fellows are costumed and take their historic ride on the St. Charles streetcar route, proclaiming carnival time, and special tribute to crew of Carrollton right before they leave, noting Carrollton's 100th anniversary. Sarah J. McMahon, Tim Laughlin, Philip Manuel, and others will be performing a free concert to kick off the centennial all year of the National Votive Shrine of Our Lady of Prompt Succor. The free concert called Two Treasures of New Orleans, Her Music and Her Shrine, is also Saturday at 7 p.m. at the Shrine on State Street next to the Ursuline Academy, of course. More information's on their website. website. And look for a new documentary in spring about the shrine on WYES. And also in the quarter that night, the crew of ARC will be passing by. Go to their website for more info. Starts at 7 o'clock. Thank you all so very much. Thank you for watching. Good night.
The American Italian Cultural Center and Museum on South Peters in New Orleans offers event venue space, Italian language classes, dual citizenship and translation services, seminars, genealogy, and trips to Italy. Ciao, AmericanItalianCulturalCenter.com. This program is brought to you in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support education, the arts, and culture in the greater New Orleans area.